Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 4 of Elevate. I hope everyone's doing well. Today, we're going to be talking about SEO with Abdel Rahman Shaded. First of all, let me give a brief description about how today's topic is going to help you and what it's going to be about. Most businesses in the GCC are living on a traffic cliff. They pay Meta or Google for ads, the traffic flows, and the leads come in. But the moment they stop paying, the cliff drops. They own nothing. They are renting their growth. Tonight, we're talking about ownership. We're going to be joined by Abdurrahman Shadid to break down why hype, the viral reels, and the expensive ad spend is a temporary high, while search is a compounding asset. If you want to stop paying for every click and start owning your market's intent, this episode is your blueprint. Let's get into the math of search. So, Abdurrahman, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
That's great. How are you feeling about today's episode?
Well, it is a kind of my expertise, so it's always exciting to speak about your specialization.
Mm-hmm. And what should we expect from you tonight?
From me,
Yes.
I mean, one would assume that you'll be able to learn more about search engine optimization in general and why your business actually needs SEO to build a foundation and survive.
Mm-hmm. Well, could you give us a brief understanding of what SEO is?
I mean, yeah, sure. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's usually the art of building authority domain on different search engines, regardless of its nature. Whether it's
Mhm.
Google, Bing, or Yahoo search, it does not matter. Even if it's a Russian search engine, these all fall under search engine optimization. There's a common misconception that SEO is tied to Google. It's not. There are other search engines. And the art of SEO is being able to establish your domain's authority on different search engines.
Okay. Would you say it's possible or easily or difficult to be ranking high on every single on many search engines of the top ones?
Such as,
Let's say Bing, Google, Yahoo, all of them at the same time to be the top at all of them, and how what type of work would that require?
it's not that hard to rank on any search engine. Again, it's the art of building domain authority. Well, the longer you build your domain authority, the easier it becomes to unleash your potential on search engines. Regarding what work it requires heavy dedicational work and heavy understanding of website mechanics.
Hmm.
Because without website mechanics, you basically shut off the main component of SEO, which is the technical SEO. So it's a mixture of understanding how a website works, how a website looks, how does it differ, and understanding how the search engine ranks it in order for you to be able to draft a proper SEO strategy in place.
Okay, okay, all right. So I have a question lined up for you here. Okay,
Yeah. All right.
Abdurrahman. So
So,
you've seen the back ends of dozens of GCC enterprises. You see people spending 10,000 a month on ads with 0% organic authority. Why
okay.
the hype model finally breaking is gonna be finally breaking in 2026?
Now, first of all, we have to understand what the hype model is or why it's even called the hype model. It's simply because in hype, or in the specific case, as we like to call it, the attention tax is currently at an all-time high because every brand is currently on TikTok and Meta, which has driven CPMs or cost per miles through the roof. So when you're constantly living on hype, you're basically a hamster on wheel. If you stop running or if your ad budget dries up or the algorithm changes, your business vanishes. SEO, on the other hand, is this antidote or the antidote to the issue that's currently being faced. So, with all understanding on the table, we have to realize that all types of marketing is exactly what you need in social media, regardless. So, if you're a business owner, you need all marketing regardless because marketing drives itself. You need to complete it gradually, step by step, to ensure dominance. However, SEO is usually the service in which we want to build the foundation for your brand, specifically if you're an e-commerce brand. Because in e-commerce specifically, um, social media marketing acts as an enabler to your current strategy. And that enabler would only, it can work without SEO, but it's much better when there's a foundation in place, when you have actual reputation and authority online. So using social media marketing to complement SEO down the line is always something that we recommend people to do.
Hmm. So you feel like social media marketing and SEO synergize well with each other, basically.
Yeah, it's not a matter of which one is better, it's more of a matter of knowing what to use first.
Hmm. And which one comes first, in your opinion?
Could you please repeat that?
Yeah, sure. Which one comes first?
Well, deciding which one comes first usually depends on a very important factor, which is the stage that you're currently in. Sometimes social media marketing comes first and then SEO complements. Sometimes SEO comes first and social media complements. It all generally depends on the current atmosphere that you are in. So, and it also depends on the market that you're in, depends on how niche it is. It's all circumstantial,
Hmm.
heavily dependent on the circumstances that you are in. You cannot easily pick which one comes first. It's all dependent on the situation.
Okay. I have a little bit of understanding of SEO, so I have a main question I want to ask. I
All
know that
right.
most social medias don't really tie into SEO. So how do they help with SEO in the long run? Social media itself.
We're talking about social media in itself or social media marketing.
Social media marketing. Oh,
Again, social media marketing acts as an enabler, which in its natural sense means that, take for an example, when you want to begin a new project and you are looking to boost that project online as much as possible, you usually begin with SEO in that case, or you usually begin with search engine optimization. Why do we begin with search engine optimization? Because SEO is the long-term foundation building. It's not reliant on the friction of the market. It's reliant on your skill of adaptation. Unlike social media marketing, which is dependent on the friction of the policies ruled out by the platform that you're on, Google's algorithm, regardless of how much it shifts and changes and how many policies are changed, they're not going to tax your SEO unless they decide that the route you took for SEO is now violating. So even in that case, they wouldn't tax you that much. They'll just remove some of your authority without sanctioning you. Unlike social media marketing, in which you get taxed completely, actually, if the algorithm itself changes or if the policy changes. So if the for them to complement in each other, or how it would work is, once you begin with search engine optimization, social media acts as an indirect backlink back to your website,
mhm,
especially if you're an e-commerce or a website that has products on it. It becomes much simpler and easier for you to conduct social media marketing down the line, or Google ads down the line, or YouTube ads, or TikTok ads, whatever it might be. These are all considered external to SEO, and they all play into the role of you appearing first and relying or feeding Google's algorithm information about your website.
mhm. Okay. I have a question. Who usually would need SEO more? Would it be a person who sells services or product, or does it not matter?
I don't think it matters that much in this case, actually, because the most important thing is, it's not a matter of who needs it most, it's a matter of when it becomes a necessity and when it becomes a luxury, because SEO can be both.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot really decide on who needs it more or who needs it less. It all depends on, in the specific case, is it a necessity or is it a luxury? That's what it depends on. So you cannot really make a assumption on the basis of that, oh, this person has a service, or this person has a product, so the service person needs SEO more. No, they could both equally need the SEO. It
Mm-hmm.
all depends on
Which stage they're at?
exactly.
Okay. What's one common myth in SEO that you usually hate the most, or that you see popping up the most, and you would like to dispel right now?
It's not a myth or a rumor, it's more of a complicated understanding of SEO in which people consistently compare SEO to other types of marketing. They think that SEO is the equivalent of social media marketing on Google, which is not the same at all. Because social media marketing is basically the high in the short term, while SEO is the high in the long term.
Mhm.
So people who consistently think that, oh, okay, I did SEO and now I have big numbers. Oh, yes. So within 2 months, I'll be on top of Google. That's not how it works.
Mhm.
Because another thing would be is that they think in SEO we target numbers. We do not target numbers, we target positioning. We target results. We do not target high numbers because you can have high numbers, but that doesn't translate into good leads. It's not necessarily good leads. It just means wider reach. When
Okay.
in reality, you actually need good leads, and that is what you need to target in SEO. So, arguably speaking, these two misconceptions about SEO would like to tackle and hopefully shine some light upon because they represent a misunderstanding of the service in itself, which in return overshadows the effectiveness of the service.
Mhm. Another misunderstanding that I usually see when it comes down to SEO is that a lot of people think that SEO is just to rank high in Google or just to rank high in search engines. Though SEO has a lot of other off functions, such as right now the topic of today, how it can help you build like authority and how it can help you establish yourself in the market. Why do you think people usually just think SEO is very limited in its abilities?
A lot of people, again, it falls back into the same trap of a lot of people confuse what SEO is or undervalue the power of SEO because it's much harder to understand than any other service. Because marketing in itself or digital marketing in itself is a warframe or a war of psychological warfare. Marketing is understanding the consumer. It's the art of understanding the consumer and projecting yourself in the eyes of the consumer. Now, SEO is the same thing, kind of, because it's a branch of marketing, but the issue is it's highly volatile and highly technical. It revolves around the idea of, for an example, on social media marketing, you can have an ad campaign up, and within a month and a half, you can see results. And whether these results are exactly what you are aiming for or not, Meta ads or TikTok ads cannot guarantee that for you. Google, on the other hand, can guarantee that for you in the long term, not in the short term, in the long term. In the long term, you can look at giants such as Amazon, who currently own Google, actually. And you understand once you search for something and see Amazon, you understand how massive it is for them. So it's not about ranking first on Google. It's or again, it's always about the results. All of the marketing services should not be about which rank am I on Google or which page do I appear on Google. It should be about I want the numbers to be accurate, i.e., if, for an example, if you have 150 clicks, these are 150 qualified leads, rather than getting 10,000 clicks and they're unqualified
Hmm.
leads. So it's always about the quality of the result, not the quantity of it.
Yeah, I understand now. Thank you very much. Okay, so Social media is interruption marketing. You are interrupting someone. Scroll search is intent marketing. They are asking for a solution. A lead search is 4 times more likely to close because they've already done the mental work of identifying their problem. This is going to Could you explain it a bit more about this?
Um, okay, so basically, as I've been talking about, this is the concept of the intent multiplier.
Hmm.
So, intent is like psychology. When someone scrolls Instagram, they are in dopamine mode. You're chasing the high and trying to waste your time. So, you're looking for entertainment on Instagram. But when you go to a search engine, you are looking for a solution. You are basically looking for something specific, unlike on social media. Same thing with AI chatbots. Same thing with well, let's take for an example Gemini. Same thing with Gemini. When you hop on Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it might be, and you're going to ask a question, even the chatbot itself relies on the search engine. Funny enough, it does not rely on social media, unless you're asking about a social media personality, but that's a different circumstance. But in general, they rely on virality on Google, i.e., they look at the search engine and see what the search engine tells them because Google in itself is one of the large, no, it is the largest directory for information. So the intent differs on social media. The ad can hit, it can reach the same people, the exact people that you want, but it won't have the same effect because they have different intents on social media than they do on Google. So in a sense, on social media, it has to be proper segmentation alongside a catchy ad. On Google, no, you have to present yourself as the solution. That's why on social media marketing, it's more marketing than SEO, but social media marketing. Because social media marketing is more market SEO, while still a marketing service, it's much more businessy because the same thing or the same formula that applies in businesses in which I am or I want to present my product as the solution to X problem. Same thing on Google. I want to present my website as X solution to Y problem. So this is where the intent differs between platforms, and this is how marketing comes into a role. And another aspect would be on social media marketing, you have the creative aspect to it, which is where it differs between a good ad and a bad ad. It requires creativity. On SEO or on Google, yeah, creativity plays a role or creative thinking plays a role, but it's generally about how do I present myself as a solution to the problem, which is, again, the core formula of businesses. Because in a business, when you start a business, the main important thing is I have a product. How can my product fix a problem? And based on that, I begin my marketing.
Hmm. Okay. So here you explained what the intent multiplier is. Could you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about technical integrity?
Okay. Technical integrity, or more logically speaking, the local relevance is basically, to put it into a simple example, would be if your site takes, for an example, 4 seconds to load on a 5G connection, or if your schema markup doesn't clearly define your expertise, you are invisible. Because on Google, you cannot really vibe your way onto page one, you have to engineer your way there. That's where they differ. And we do that through the art of following the EEAT technical integrity. Now, the EEAT model is basically, it's not a guideline, it's more of a vetting process that the Google's algorithm uses to decide if you're a market leader or just a random person. So EEAT, EEAT stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So experience is the I've been there factor, right? This is the basically showing your experience in the niche that you are in. And this is actually the most recent addition to this formula. And it's in the case where Google wants to see first-hand experience. So, for an example, the hype model here would be a generic blog about how to start a business in the UAE, for an example. The experience model would be a case study by someone that's an industry leader, showing the exact documents, the hurdles, and the specific mistakes that they saved clients from last month. So the key question here that needs to be answered is, does the content show that a human actually did the work or not? It's a matter of showcasing your expertise or educating the consumer about it. And then you have expertise, or this is where it differs between expertise and experience. In experience, you're educating them about your experience, the I've been there factor. Expertise is about showcasing your knowledge. This is the I know factor. It's about the formal credentials and the depth of the knowledge. So, for an example, having a great service but know about a space that lists certifications, or for an example, how many years you've been working in a specific market, or the technical SEO background. This is basically telling Google that there is no expertise here. It's just a bunch of random people. However, if, for an example, ensuring every piece of content is backed by data, correct terminology, and professional insight, this showcases to Google that, okay, maybe these people know what they're talking about. And then you have A, which is authoritativeness, the they know me factor. This isn't, or this is actually your reputation in the industry. This isn't your reputation in society, it's your reputation in the industry. See, Google does not care who you are in real life, they care about who you are in the industry that you are in. So, for an example, let's look at it as digital real estate, right? It's about who is talking about you. So, for an example, if other high authority sites like, uh, let's say, for an example, Forbes, right? Forbes is a major journal,
Yes.
links back to your 2026, or links back to your website, or links back to your blog, or for an example, to our first episode of 2026 Revenue Roadmap. Google looks at this as the primary source. You aren't just a voice, you are now the reference point. This is called authoritativeness in Google. It's basically Google's measurement of how authoritative you are. And then we have T, which is the final case, and that is trustworthiness, i.e., the foundation factor. And this is the most important pillar because it acts as the security of the website. And the first question here is the technical trust, which is, do you have an SSL certificate? Is your website certificate, or is the website um, expired? Is it certified or expired? Is your website fast? Is your contact information clear? These are all factors that play into the technical trust of the Google algorithm.
So like user experience.
It's not about user experience, it's about proving how trustworthy the website is. It's what distinguishes your website from an actual business provider from a scammer.
Hmm.
That's how Google measures it, because Google consistently takes down scammy website, and also not just the scammy websites, alongside that, dangerous websites as well, the ones that can infect you with viruses. This is the EEAT model, and this is the model Google follows to break down and rank your website. So think of it as a trade license for the internet. You wouldn't trust a doctor who doesn't have a clinic, a degree, or a reputation. So why should Google trust a business that has no digital skeleton? So most people think that SEO is about keywords. It's not. It's mostly about the EEAT model. It's about proving to the algorithm and the consumer, i.e., the human, that you are the most reliable, most experienced, and most truthful answer to their problem. About keywords or ranking high, it's about beating this model in order to ensure the quality of the result.
Hmm. So through this model is how you establish your dominance on Google, right? And how what helps you rank higher overall and do better in SEO.
Yes, more or less, yes, because this model was, think of it as the gravity law, right?
Mm,
Or think of it as the formula of force or the force formula. Without the formula, you are guessing. This is the formula. Without the EAT, we are just guessing on SEO. But with EAT, the model that is set out for us by Google and the other different formulas set out to us by other search engines, we have somewhat of a reference to fall back on to understand where we went wrong.
mhm.
So without this model in place, you're practically just guessing what you're doing and hoping that it turns out well. And the issue with that is you are dealing with someone's business. So you are basically gambling your results on someone's business. And it usually does not turn out well, let's face it.
Yeah, if you're gambling, then you most probably didn't do marketing right, and you will fail.
Yeah, that and well, to be fair, I am a very strong gambler. So maybe gambling would work out in my favor, but in normal circumstances, gambling and marketing is a high risk move. For an
Mhm.
example, if you are stuck in a place and you don't know what to do next and you followed the guideline properly and it's not working, it's time to start taking risks. This is the only time, I mean, in general, life is about taking risks. It's about leaving your comfortability and or your comfort zone and taking risks. But with risks come consequences. Your risk can either pay off or it can fail. Luckily enough, marketing is an A/B testing zone, so failing isn't exactly a problem in marketing.
Failing helps you improve in marketing, especially.
Not necessarily improve, but it shows you the right way because A/B testing is a crucial model. It's a crucial core pillar of marketing. Without A/B testing, or before the introduction to A/B testing, people used to follow the same model. All ads used to look the same. Back in the newspapers days, everyone marketed the same way. Up until the digital age, everyone used to market the same. Until the introduction of the A/B testing model came into display. Now, no one really invented the A/B testing model. It was always there, but the circumstances did not allow for A/B testing to be done because marketing was heavily punishable back in the day. So once the lifts, or once, as I like to call it, the sanctions were lifted off of marketing and allowed for creativity to come in, that's when branding as a service came out. Because A/B testing, funny enough, opened the door for creative marketing. Without A/B testing, creative marketing wouldn't be with us here today. It's what opened the door for branding and creative to be there in the first place. Now, thanks to A/B testing, we can run the same ad twice, just change a few aspects and see which one turned out better. Same thing applies to SEO. You can have two different strategies at the same time, see which one worked out better. And A/B testing can be done on a micro and a macro phase. And the micro is, for an example, changing keywords. For an example, I set out two sets of keywords, two lists of keywords to see which one turns out better. One list could turn out better than the other, or both lists turned out to be good, but some keywords were bad. This is what A/B testing allows you to do. Failure in marketing doesn't mean the strategy failed, it means the test failed. And in science in general, because marketing is a form of science, and science in general, you need to test your theories and you need to test your hypothesis before making it a fact. The same thing applies to marketing. You need to test it out. If it's tested before and it's functional, you've proven that it works, then there is no reason to stick to it. But if you are stuck into a wall, you don't know what to do, this is where risk taking comes in. You have to start taking risks. You have to understand and become creative. And now, creative here does not mean designing a cool ad. Creative means thinking outside the box. You have to see which area, which strategy, what door do I want to unlock next, and find out how does it turn out.
Mhm. Okay, so that was technical integrity. Could you explain now what compounding content is?
Compounding content. It's a very big error in SEO, which is that most people write for the algorithm, but they should be writing for the customer. You don't need to write for the algorithm because the algorithm ranks you based on the customer's experience. So the longer I try to write for the algorithm, the more failure or the worse my blogs are going to become. I need to understand a very crucial aspect, which is the more I write the same blog over and over again, the more I compound failure over the long run. Because marketing in general is about understanding the consumer. And once I understand the consumer, it becomes easier. And this is a very common theme, which is marketers or marketing wannabes usually look at the ads from their own perspective when it should be from the customer's perspective. When it becomes from the customer's perspective, what happens is simple. I look at it and make the decision correctly instead of judging it but by what I see or what I need. Obviously, experience plays a role, but generally speaking, marketing is about appealing to the customer, not appealing to your standards. It has nothing to do with your standards. Marketing has no place for what you think. Marketing always has a place for, will this make the customer break? Will this make the customer buy? That's what marketing is about. It's not about, oh, I think this color looks cool. No, it's about, oh, this will catch the eyes of the customer. That's what it's about. Hence why creative departments has a very important role, and that role is called creative auditor. The creative auditor or the quality checker is usually someone who acts as the unbiased role or the unbiased party when viewing an ad. They have to see, does it appeal to them or not? Because if the entire marketing department came down to view this ad and they look at it, everyone's going to have different opinions and everyone's going to have different subjections and perspectives. The issue with that is marketing is not about subjectivity, it's about objectivity. It's not a subject matter, it's an objective matter, i.e., one thing is gonna work and that thing has to work. Why? Because it appealed to the customer. The moment we make marketing subjective, or the moment we make life in general, is the moment life becomes a playground for black and white where you play in the gray zone. The issue with playing in the gray zone is it's not always gonna turn out in your favor. Hence why marketing is logical more than it is emotional. Obviously, emotionality plays into marketing, hence why we have a creative department because they appeal to the customer's emotion. However, the ad itself appeals again to the customer's emotion, not your emotion. So the same concept of sales applies where you have to deal with it logically based on the customer's emotions.
Okay. Uh, Thank you for explaining all those informations to us, Abdel Rahman. It's
Absolutely.
a very in-depth and great explanation, I would say. Okay, Abdel Rahman, we've seen people in our Discord who have high traffic but zero lead. It's a strategy leak. What are we doing to help them fix this tonight?
Um, well, usually what we do at Marketero is we allow technical audits as part of your first consultation. So do not miss out on the opportunity of having a marketing audit for your website because you are worried or you are confused about marketing or you are scared of the realm of marketing.
Okay, so Abdel Rahman, I have a few scenarios for you here. Okay, I would like to see your expertise in handling them. Are you ready?
I've always been ready.
Oh, that's great to hear. Okay, so here the profile is going to be a high-end consulting firm with elite credentials but zero organic traffic.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
your your site is a ghost ship. You have the authority, but you haven't told the search engines how to read it.
Okay. I mean, this is a classical case of invisible authority. Now, a very important thing we need to understand is we have to break down the case into understanding that a consulting firm is a service provider. Very important thing to understand because it differs than product providers. So when we're a service provider, we appeal to two types of markets, which is the B2B and the B2C. So what happens in this case is the website looks beautiful, but it's a private club with no signages. So normally speaking, they have PhDs on their staff, but their technical SEO is blocking the crawlers. They might have no index tags on their most valuable case studies. So what needs to be done is first we need to look up their search console and see where the issue lies in. We have to conduct the proper audits to the website, including the technical SEO, check if there are leakages in the codes, check if there are issues that lie within the website. Because unlike other types of marketing, there might be multiple errors inventing or preventing the website from ranking. So what we can do here is simple. After the audit is done, what needs to be happen is repolishing the website. The code of the website has to be repolished. That's first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, the code of the website has to be repolished to ensure that there are no index errors that happens, not single pages on being indexed, except ones that we don't need to be indexed, including as well polishing up the sitemap, ensuring that the sitemap looks proper, connects and talks to the website and talks to Google properly. And then we begin by putting out proper and high quality content, very in-depth blogs, understanding of case studies, proper case studies, scheduling them properly, understanding how they look, and how to present them to the consumer. Because they have authority, but it's basically invisible. So it's not a matter of them being bad, it's a matter of them not understanding how to do SEO.
Mm. Okay. You've used some terminologies here like indexing and sitemap and all of these terminologies. Could you explain what these terminologies mean?
Okay. On a simple term, indexing basically is the process of putting a page on Google or allowing the crawler to be able to enter the page. This is what indexing is. We have a rule of thumb where not all pages need to be indexed. Not all of the pages on a website need to be entered by Google, right? We don't need them to bypass all pages. Some pages, for an example, exclusive pages, user interface pages, user login pages, these aren't pages that we need Google to see. Obviously, it doesn't hurt to have them up on Google, but it also at the same time hurts the efforts of the strategy by focusing SEO on it. We need the right pages to be indexed. The sitemap is basically the map of the website, what the website looks like, how many pages there are, where do they lead, and so on. This is what a sitemap is. They're not technical terms by necessity where they are exclusive to SEO. These are common terminologies used by website developers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let me give you a second profile now. An e-commerce brand doing $50,000 a month, but 90% of it comes from meta ads.
Okay. I mean, if they're doing 90% of their profit coming from meta ads and their profit is currently, or rather the revenue in this case is 50,000, then that would be $45,000 coming from Meta. So what we've done here is basically we're doing $50,000 a month, but our profit margin is being eaten alive by Meta's rising costs. So they fall into a classic trap here where they are basically doing work for Mark Zuckerberg. So we need to pivot 20% of that ad spend into category king SEO, where we'll be targeting comparison keywords, where people are looking for alternatives to your biggest competitor. That's how we steal market share without increasing the ad budget. We need to realign the budget rather than relying on one aspect of marketing. We need to utilize the other aspects of marketing.
Okay. What other aspects would you be using?
So instead of meta ads, we need to focus on SEO,
Mm-hmm.
not solely just meta ads or TikTok ads or whatever else it might be. Again, I'm not a preacher for SEO. It's a specialization that I have. I'm a marketer first and an SEO specialist second, and a businessman third. So, as you can see, the priorities always, or the loyalties always fall back to the one and only the marketing field. So, digesting marketing into one platform or into one aspect kind of dilutes your budget over the long run. So I become a slave to this platform because you don't believe or you're not willing to budge on other platforms. Obviously, marketing is a vast field. There's so many different ways of marketing, and there are so many different sub branches of marketing. And without marketing, technically speaking, I'm not gonna say you will fail, but you are missing out on the 100% potential of the business. Because even back in the day of before digital marketing was a thing, because marketing is a very old concept. Marketing existed back in the 90s and in the 80s, and also a lot of people back in the day used to look at it. So, to understand the history of marketing, we need to look at the most important thing, which is marketing began in the 15th century. It's an art as old as time. Obviously, marketing always existed. It's just it became a coin or it coined for a term back in the 15th century. That's where, or specifically exactly in the 1450, 1450, just 10 years after the invention of the Gutenberg printing press, which was the first newspaper outlet. So printed advertising at the time wasn't a new concept, but the ability to mass produce it was. And this concept took the marketing world by storm. So marketing first originated, or as a concept, first originated ages ago. Marketing is a concept that's been there as long as time has been because marketing is a core aspect of business. This is how old it is. It's older than many fields actually today. So many older fields, such as HR, such as business administration, management. These all did not exist before marketing.
Mm. I would say
Mark,
marketing existed since business or selling first existed because they go hand in hand together.
no, marketing always existed. Marketing as a concept has always been there from the times of, let's say, from the times of, if I had to spin a roll on it, from the times of the pharaohs. Marketing, that's how long marketing existed as a concept, not as a term. As a term that was coined and it became a field to study and it became something to actually learn about, happened in the 15th century. But as a concept of its existence, it's been there as old as time has been. Because marketing isn't about businesses or sales, marketing is about the way you portray yourself. Basically, it's your reputation. That's what marketing is. And in order for your reputation to happen, we look at the simplest example of business when it first appeared, which was trade. Trading still appear until today, just turned under different coins and different mechanisms. But trading is a concept as old as time. We always needed to trade because transactions is how this world was built on. Transaction in general, as I explained in the last episode, is basically a trade of benefits. I want something, you want something. So we trade those benefits. Now, the reason why business in itself hasn't been used as a concept is because business is the modernization of transaction, i.e., the concept of building an entire system around a product that in itself never existed before. This is modern technology. However, back in the day, what used to exist is transaction because money wasn't always a common factor that was used. People used to trade in salts, people used to trade in gold, people used to trade in silver. Throughout the years, before money was a thing, before the bill that you see today was a thing, there was no strict concept or a strict condition for a transaction to be done over money. No, it was always a trade of benefits, i.e., I want your salt, you want my meat. So we trade it. I trade you a sheep for an equal amount of salt, right? That's the way transaction has always been. So how did
Barter,
these people, no, not, excuse me?
bartering, basically.
I wouldn't say bartering because bartering revolves around more of bribing. Bartering revolves around the idea of bribing, which you give them something more expensive to them, but is easily accessible to you. This isn't a trade of benefits. This is the capitalization on capitalism, which is I have what you need and it is expensive, but the ease of accessibility that I have to it makes it much more valuable.
Mhm.
Trading isn't limited by these constraints. It's not limited by these modern constraints. Trading, in a sense, is has always been there. Even in schools, kids trade. When you trade a gum for a toy, this is a trade. They're both equally valuable, right? However, bartering, on the other hand, is I have something that you need that everyone else needs. But since I have the accessibility to it and it's so easy for me to get it, it becomes my upper hand, which is a very common, or not a very common, which is one of the cores of capitalism, which is I have something that you need, but since I hold the monopoly over it, you now have to bend the knee. Trading isn't meant to be in a sense where I have to bend the knee to get something that I want. No, it is a matter of I have something that is of value to the other person, and that person has something of value to me. Bartering, on the other hand, you can give me something that is very valuable, but since I have something that is much more valuable, I will always have the upper hand.
Mhm.
In trade, there is no upper hands. We don't have upper hands in trades because it's an equal exchange of benefits, which is very important to understand. And this is where marketing comes in as a concept. How did these people back in the day used to trade? How would you know that this is someone that you can trust? Keep in mind, even though trust is valuable, trust is a very important currency. But back then, I'm not going to say people were more trustworthy. No, because being trustworthy isn't something you inherit or something that you are owed or something that is expected of you. No, quite the opposite. In a world where you cannot take the word of mouth of someone, you have to automatically assume that everyone is a liar and everyone is a scammer. So back then, marketing as a concept was used. How? Which is still used until this day. This was the first form of marketing, which is affiliate marketing or word of mouth marketing, referrals. This was the first activation of the concept of marketing, and it's been there since the dawn of time. How did we learn about the prophets? How did we learn about history? Even history itself uses marketing. How do you know that the world wars that happened or the civil wars that happened throughout history actually happened? Because person A said this, person B referred them, and person B basically marketed for person A, making their word the absolute truth. So marketing as a concept has always existed. It's the most important fundamental aspect of life. Without marketing, businesses cannot really survive, right? You cannot survive and you cannot be shown because the longer you rely on your instincts or I can do this, I can do that, and the longer you deny the power of marketing, the longer you will fall into this pit called ignorance and delusion. So we know that marketing has existed for a very long time, possibly since the dawn of time, right? This leaves us with the very important aspect to answer that question, which is you don't get to pick and choose what marketing I want or what marketing I need or which marketing works best. The most important thing is I cannot put all of my eggs in one basket. I have to diversify. The same way I would diversify my income sources, I have to diversify my budget into different marketing fields and aspects. So the longer we devalue marketing as a concept, the longer your business drowns because marketing, whether you like it or not, is a very important factor of businesses. Not just businesses, all types of businesses, whether it's a hospital, whether you're in the medical field, whether you're an engineer, all of us need marketing, whether you like it or not, whether you're in logistics, whether you're in this or you're in that, it does not matter. All of these fields require marketing. How do you set yourself apart from the other hospitals or the other clinics? How do you set yourself apart from construction company A or construction yard B? This is where marketing comes in to set you apart from the rest.
Okay. Well, you're teaching us history, SEO, and ideology all at the same time.
It's very important to learn these things, and it's very important to clarify these things because a lot of people are under a misconception that marketing is a business field. Marketing is not a business field. They always existed independently. Marketing never relied on business. Marketing in itself can work without business.
Mhm.
Business, on the other hand, cannot work without marketing. You can survive for a while, but at some point, you're going to realize your competitors are squashing you. Why? Because they caved in into marketing and you are still being delusional. So you cannot deny the impact of marketing because everything known to you since the dawn of digital space is all thanks to marketing. Without marketing, the digital space in itself, I'm not going to say it's not usable, it is usable, but it would not have been utilized the way it was utilized today.
It,
How do
would,
you, yeah?
it wouldn't have reached its full potential, basically.
Not about reaching its full potential. Why do you trust Google, right? How would you trust Google without marketing? How do you know Google is showing you the right results without marketing? How do you know that this hospital is the right one without marketing? All of this is all thanks to marketing. And a lot of people seem to think that it's all thanks to Google, but Google is only the inventor of the search engine. They did not invent marketing. They used marketing and they laid out foundations for marketing to ensure that the results that you get are actually accurate and trustworthy, right? So if Google did not use that, they did not utilize that, they decide to be ignorant about marketing, all of the search results you're gonna find on Google are all gonna be lies. They're all
Mhm.
gonna be completely lied upon, and you wouldn't know the yes from no. So thanks to marketing, I'm not gonna say that marketing invented truth, but
Mhm.
thanks to marketing, marketing invented reputation. I.e., you are now in a world where you are judged by your own reputation thanks to marketing. This is a double-edged blade that you can walk. Either you develop a proper reputation for yourself and you're trusted within your own community, or you can go down the other way where you chase the wrong type of virality, where you are not trusted by the consumers, but God knows you made money. So that's always a way you can always go down to. But without the proper reputation in place, I wouldn't trust you as far as I throw you.
Yeah, it isn't a long term. It isn't a long term endeavor that you would take. It's only good for the short term.
Even for the short term, there's this concept in marketing called bad virality, in which, yeah, you became famous, but for the wrong reasons. You
Hmm.
did not do it the proper way, or you did not do it with something of value. Everything in this world is built on value, i.e., in business, in the business sphere, wherever you go, an employee needs to have a value. A manager needs to have a value because a manager at the end of the day is an employee, is not a boss. He is your boss, but he's an employee to the company. So all of these people need to have value. Once you're derived of these values, you are useless to society as a whole. Why? Because value is what defines you as a person, right? This has always been the concept. What value do I bring to the table is what defines how important I am to this table. The less value I bring, the less important I am to this table, the more likely this table is going to find someone who can bring the value that this table needs, which is a simple story of a common problem a lot of students face nowadays, where they're deluded into the idea of thinking if I get a certificate, I am now gonna go out, they are gonna spread out the red carpet, and I will be hired at the first company I go to. No, you have to always build your value. Again, this isn't a despair or a track to education as a whole. Education is important, whether you like it or not. Without education, none of us would have the skills we have today. Knowledge is power, but limiting knowledge to a degree is where issues start to rise. Your knowledge, your experience should not come solely from that degree. You need to build more on that degree. That degree is an enabler for you to enter the market. But just because you enter the market, you're not guaranteed to find a job. That is the difference. So, how do I guarantee to find a job? I need to start building my own value. How do I build my own value? Simple, very simple, and put down. I take the time the proper courses, I take the proper certifications until I graduate. So by the time that I have graduated, I have enough value built in myself that I am not solely relying on a certificate from a university overseas, right? So in a society where your reputation is judged, and this is different than what people think about you, because no one really, you shouldn't really care what people think about you. You should care about what the industry looks at you, because people at the end of the day, they're not really going to affect your life in any way or form. Not at all. How much they like you does not matter. What matters is how valued you are in an industry. So if the industry relies on you, they look at you as an industry leader, this automatically breeds good reputation for you. It showcases you as someone of value. And this is a very important concept, very important topic to understand, realize, and comprehend. So it's less of a history lesson and more of uh, advice that's given to a very underrepresented class of society, in which they were constantly deluded by older generations by thinking that the world hasn't changed. We have changed very hard, actually. We're currently in a stage of the world in which we are so vast and so expanded in the digital space, everything relies on your digitality. So always, you can always connect this back to SEO, since SEO judges your reputation online and Google judges the reputation of your website online. The same concept can be applied in real life. Can you apply the EAT into your daily life or not? And that is how you're valued in the business.
Okay. A lot of wise words. Okay. So let's move on to the final scenario here. Okay. I'll give you the profile and you diagnose it for me. A blog that has 10,000 monthly visitors but generates zero leads.
Huh. And this is a quality leak here, because, or rather, a segmentation leak, because the blog in itself might be worded properly, but it's targeting the wrong types of people, which is an important concept to learn about and understand in marketing, is that in life and in marketing, you cannot please everyone and you cannot attract everyone. So as long as I know that I cannot attract and please everyone, it means I have to attract the right people, right?
Mhm.
Concept can be applied both in real life and both in marketing. So I know I cannot target everyone. At some stage, you will be able to target everyone, but beginning and setting a threshold and a foundation to yourself, you cannot target everyone. This is where segmentation comes in. We have to understand the right customer, and based on that, change the blog accordingly. So it's not an issue within the blog, it's an issue within marketing itself.
Okay. And so how would you say the issue is exactly? Uh is which part of this would you say is the strategy leaking from mainly? If you had to pick.
It's, you cannot pinpoint it exactly because it's a hypothetical. So you cannot add an exact measure onto a hypothesis. But there are many reasons to why this could be the problem, and it can spin in any way, actually, because again, it's a hypothetical. So
Yeah.
as long as it's hypothetical, I'll give you an hypothetical answer. This could be an issue within the targeting in itself. I chose the wrong topic. So the blog itself can be structured properly, but I chose the wrong topic and now I attracted the wrong type of consumer. Or it could be an issue with how I did SEO. Perhaps I backlinked it wrong through a forum or through a directory that has nothing to do with my blog or with my industry that I'm in. Again, there's so many ways this can be spun in, but the main issue lies within the segmentation itself. I did something wrong with the targeting. And if I don't fix the targeting properly, I'm consistently going to be bleeding in 10,000, 100,000, even if it's a million visitors to the website. There's still the wrong type of lead.
Okay. Well, now I have a few other questions. about yourself a little bit more.
Okay.
How does the concept of صدق apply to SEO? Isn't SEO just about tricking the algorithm?
Well, I've already touched on this. It's not about tricking the algorithm because you're not marketing for the algorithm, you're marketing for the people. Since you're judged by your reputation and part of EEAT is trustworthiness, صدق in itself is originally applied, right? It's automatically applied as long as Google ranks you for trustworthiness. So you're not really tricking the algorithm. You're not marketing for the algorithm. The algorithm is merely an judiciary, right? They are the judging system. They judge you based on the metrics that they set out. Do you appeal to these metrics or not? In SEO, you're not marketing for the algorithm, you're marketing for the consumer. The more trustworthy you are, the higher Google ranks you, the more accessible your website is to consumers. So Google's AI can detect actually deception better than a human can because you believe the first result that you see, or you believe AI, like sheep basically. And a lot of people rely on AI for whatever weird reason. Your over reliance on AI is dumbing down society as a whole. If you take the word as law, the first thing you receive as law, then, and without doing your own research, then you are easily deceived. Now, luckily enough, Google's AI can detect deception thanks to the system that they have in place. So it's not a moral virtue that you have here, it's a ranking factor. If your metadata promises a solution that your landing page doesn't deliver, you're not just lying to the user, you're lying to Google. And the algorithm will punish that lack of integrity. Funny enough, they will punish you by sanctioning your website. And trust me, when Google throws sanctions at your website, it will take months to recover from that sanction. So honest marketing is the only sustainable marketing that you can do in SEO because again, it's about remedying and building a reputation for yourself. So if you start it off by lying, well, tough luck for you in the upcoming
Mhm.
months.
Okay. So SEO takes time. How do we stay patient when we don't see results in the first 30 days?
Patience is a very important critical factor in business and in life because you won't get results tomorrow. Your solution might be the best solution on the market, but you won't get results tomorrow, the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, the next 10 years. Zuckerberg himself is a prime example of patience because no one used Facebook until like 5 years later. Google in itself is actually an example of patience because back when Google was NASDAQ, they weren't usable until 2009, 2008. Even though they are a company that's been established in the 90s, they weren't as popular as they were today. Google was recently popular, right? It was recently a popular search engine. All businesses require patience, regardless of what service you take. Even life itself requires patience. You have to be patient to, and most importantly, to be understanding, to be able to accept the facts that are presented in front of you, to be able to accept and remedy the situation, to be able to accept and understand that fate hasn't opened its doors for you yet. So the same concept applies to SEO. The reason why SEO is long is because, again, we're working with Google's algorithm for the user's experience. So the reason why it takes 3 to 6 months to see your results in SEO is due to the fact that you are building a foundation and scaling that foundation. So as long as it's a scaling catalyst, it becomes a patience game. You have to wait for the right opportunity. You have to wait for the results. You have to take your time. You have to understand that my time isn't now yet. I have to wait. I have to calm down. I have to weigh my options. I have to look around. I have to see if there is another avenue I can proceed, not proceed, but pursue while I am waiting for this one to unlock. So patience in itself is, or sabr in general, is about understanding the law of the farm. You don't plant a seed and shout at it to grow the next day. You water it, protect it, and eventually it becomes a tree. So a tree in the desert doesn't just survive, it becomes an oasis for others. That is what a 10-year SEO strategy looks like. It becomes you against everyone else. So patience is very important. Building a system requires patience, requires survival through tribulations. The longer I am patient, the higher the reward is, as promised by all religious and all religions, gods. All gods, whatever your religion is, promised patience rewards. And at the end of the day, patience is a virtue. The calmer you are about situations, the more able you are to navigate them, the easier it becomes for you to avoid problems.
MashaAllah. Okay, we have a few questions here from the audience who want to get to know you a little bit better.
Of course,
First question: why did you pick SEO, and how did it turn out for you?
I'm a servant of the public. That's why I picked SEO. Now, I didn't pick SEO, it's more of SEO picked me. I was a digital marketer by nature. I've always pursued marketing since 6, 7 years now. And SEO wasn't a popular thing back then. It was only popular, or it's recently became popular back in 2021, roughly around that time. And at that point, I was specialized in marketing. I was a very in-depth marketer. I am a data analysis marketer by nature. I play with data. The more data I have, the easier the strategy becomes because data do not lie. Numbers always breed numbers. SEO, funny enough, is a field about data. It's all about data, and it's more technical than any other marketing field out there. It's a mixture of website development and marketing. And that's where SEO draws its beauty of itself. You are basically playing Google's game and ranking high on it. So to answer the question, I wasn't the one who picked SEO. SEO picked me. And it was a match made in heaven, basically, because SEO is a data-driven field, and I am a data-driven analyst who knows how to do data analysis and data-driven strategies in marketing. So it was a common theme, or it was actually an ultimatum that SEO and I would run together. There was the other half of the question that I kind of forgot.
Uh, how did it turn out for you?
How did it turn out for me? It was a successful endeavor, really, because any decision you take, you have to make the best out of it. And I've become somewhat of an icon in the SEO department or in the SEO industry because we managed to set foot in an industry that is heavily populated by fake agencies. So allowing myself to understand the field, understand how it goes, being able to prioritize strategy and results over numbers, and redefining the understanding of SEO as we go is a very huge achievement to me because I am basically redesigning a marketing field that is populated by addiction to numbers. Unfortunately, marketing as a whole is spread out as, oh, yeah, I need number, this number, that. Yeah, numbers are cool and all, but I am a man who works by results. And we are defined by the quality of our results, not by the quantity of the results.
Okay, so here's the next question. If you had to pick out a businessman, who would it be and why?
And the question sounds a bit vague.
It is a little bit vague, but let's just say if you had to pick out a businessman for a businessman that and people can learn from their
Well,
journey.
if we have to speak about learning from someone, it's not a specific businessman that embodies the perfect entrepreneur traits. It's more of picking and learning from different businessmen. And the three easiest catalysts or the three easiest businessmen to learn from, to understand, and to set a threshold for yourself or a foot stamp for you is Jeff Bezos from Amazon and Steve Jobs from Apple and Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. Why is the beauty behind it? Jeff Bezos is a man who managed to perfect the operational system unlike any other man on the planet. He systemized his business without the reliance on marketing. He shows you that discipline and triumph through tribulations showcases that you can bounce back from anything hit at you. And now Amazon is arguably the most successful company in the world. Even though Jeff Bezos started as a person selling from his garage. And right now, the main man is everywhere. You can see his bald head wherever you go, and you can see his company's logo wherever you go. Any Google search, and you will find the main man himself there. This is Jeff Bezos, and he teaches us something very crucial and important, which is he engineered. He is a man who cared about engineer. He is the how. He's the architecture of discipline. He represents operational foundation. His lesson, or the thing that you need to learn from Jeff Bezos, is that a great idea is worthless without a relentless system. What he did perfectly was focusing on what did not change. He famously said, until this day, his quote is still there, that in 10 years, customers won't want higher prices or slower delivery. He wanted to say, or what he said is, he built a regulated machine around those constants.
Mhm.
And for Steve Jobs is always going to be a unique businessman to learn about because Steve Jobs is the architecture of desire, the why. Jobs represents the product. He is the antidote to the data only approach of Bezos. Now, Steve Jobs brought a beautiful perspective into business, which is merging arts with technology. He didn't ask customers what they wanted because they didn't know. He interpreted the circumstances of human life and designed a future to fit them. Keep in mind, Steve Jobs was outed from Apple. He did not quit, he was ousted. They let him go from Apple. And he started Pixar. The studio that does the animations today was made by Steve Jobs. I know it's new information for a lot of you out there.
Mhm.
Pixar, that is today currently owned by Disney, was actually Steve Jobs's company. He started Pixar. And what he learned from Pixar, he brought into Apple to bring software and storytelling into one. And that's how he created the iPhone. So this leaves us with Mark Zuckerberg. Now, Mark Zuckerberg isn't someone that you should look up to. He's not a businessman. He's not an ethical businessman because we all know Mark Zuckerberg is, well, highly unethical. So, but he has one point which is very important is that he understood how to take the opportunity properly. He used social capital as a currency and he understood that the value of a product increases exponentially with the number of people using it. His genius was the pivot. He took a niche dorm room forum because back in the day Facebook was he made it in dorms, right? He made
Yeah.
it back in college. And he expanded it aggressively into a global infrastructure by identifying and acquiring threats, right? He identified the threats. He now owns Instagram and WhatsApp under the Meta umbrella. So this man, the one thing you need to learn from him is not to go into a lawsuit against your partner, but you need to learn how to do competitor analysis properly and acquire the advantage over your competitors, which eventually makes them bend the knee,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So these three together make up the perfect businessman. Learning how to take advantage on opportunities, learning how to merge creativity with business, and learning how to create a system that aggressively scales. So these three are the one, or I guess you can. This is the trinity, the holy trinity of business that you need to learn about. For any businessman out there, these three are the ones that you need to fall back on. Not Gary Vee, not anyone else, not even Mark Cuban. because money does not mean you know what you're talking about. Money is simply your foot in society. It means it does not define your success or what you did. Money is simply to keep track, right? It's there to show that you're doing it for the love of the game. But what you did, what you have done, what you've built, this showcases how smart you are. This is what defines success. And this, to me, these three are what define a complete entrepreneur. Because if you analyze the three together, you get a full spectrum view of a business. Bezos tells you how to build the back end, Jobs tells you how to build the front end, and Zuckerberg tells you how to get the users.
Hmm. Okay. Well, you gave us a lot, you gave us something to study. Inshallah, the viewers will be able to take advantage of that.
Oh,
Of what?
you kind of have to learn about these three because they're taught about even in schools nowadays. And knowledge is power. The more you learn, the more you research, the more you understand, the more you figure out why these people are doing what and how they did it, the more you're able to think creatively like these people.
Hmm.
So, if the question was spun around and was which businessman would I pick or which businessman I like, I would say if I had to narrow it down, it has to be someone that is not with us today. Um, he's not a businessman, but more of a scholar, which was Al Khwarizmi. Al Khwarizmi is a man that I completely admire and look up to because Al Khwarizmi defined algorithms. Without Al Khwarizmi, or without the algorithms that he has made for us today, or as they're called in Arabic, Al Khwarizmiyat, because the algorithms were actually named after him. So your feed that you see on Instagram is all thanks to this man. Without what he did, we wouldn't have half the technology that we have today. So thanks to him, the father of algebra and algorithms, Al-Khwarizmi, allowed us to have logical systems. And this is someone that I genuinely think that he's always overlooked because he wasn't a businessman, he was a scholar. Obviously, Al-Khwarizmi invented other things, but algorithms was the biggest invention he made because thanks to him, systems are a thing nowadays. Automation is a thing, optimization is a thing. The algorithms, you see how the algorithm determines which video is best for you. This was all his ideas. He set the threshold for it. And we took his work and made it better, basically, made it customizable.
Hmm. Okay. Well, there's one last final question from the viewers. What is your view on people who blame their circumstances instead of actually trying?
Well, I like this question. It's a very nice question because a lot of the people are too busy crying about their circumstances and always blaming their circumstances than actually working. And this only reflects how weak of a person they are because it's very easy to talk and it's very hard to do work. See, words are meaningless when action isn't taken. So you can sit down in your hut and or in your house or in your dorms or in your room and cry about how I don't have time, or cry about how I'm getting old, or cry about how it used to be good, instead of actually working on yourself. Very important note to understand is that everyone has circumstances. God did not give a single person one circumstance and let the rest of us live happy lives, right? God did not intend for one person to live their lives in despair and the rest have it as in rainbows and sunshines and oh my gods, right? Circumstances are gonna keep happening whether you like it or not. The sooner you get a hold of them and stop crying about it, the faster you're gonna bounce back on your feet. Everyone is gonna get knocked down. It's not about how long you cry down on your feet, it's about how fast you can get back up. So you can keep blaming your circumstances, no one is gonna stop you. However, you cannot regret. You do not have the right to regret the time you wasted crying. This is not an option granted to you. What was granted to you is the option to get up, handle your circumstances, and swiftly move through them. There's a famous saying by Bruce Lee, which was that he is like water. He adapts to the situation in front of him because he understood very well that circumstances will happen and they're mostly out of his control. So you have to be like water, my friend. You have to understand trials, tribulations, circumstances will always keep coming. What defines me as a person who is able to handle and navigate life is strong manual to say no to circumstances and to enlighten myself to find the right way moving forward and stop sitting down on my phone and whining to people and telling them, oh my God, look at my circumstances. Because if we all did that, society as a whole would come to a collapse. So, crying about your circumstances, blaming your circumstances, saying this did that, I don't have time. Or as my famous example is my parents got divorced. This is a sign of your weakness. This is not a good trait to have. This is showcasing of how weak-willed you are. That you'd rather sit down and waste time and cry about your circumstances than actually figuring out a way to move forward. And as the great Muhammad Ali once said, life is a teacher and I don't skip class. You have to understand that circumstances will keep coming. I just choose to ignore these circumstances and navigate around them because the longer we spend time on these circumstances, the more time we are wasting. And time is precious. Keep in mind, time is the most precious currency you have. Money comes and goes, health comes and goes. Time does not come back. Every second you wasted crying on your circumstances is a second that could have been used into building a future that allows these circumstances when they return to be easier.
Mhm. Wise words. Wise words. Well, to everyone listening here, before we head off, I want Abdurrahman. Is
Mhm.
there something you would like to leave the viewers with? A concept about SEO, an idea that you've focused on today that you would like to emphasize a little bit more on?
I'm starting to sense you want me to emphasize on something.
No, I'm just here to just want you to leave our viewers with one last piece of insight before we end the episode.
It's not something about SEO, it's something about life in itself because SEO is one piece of the puzzle to marketing. And the concepts that have been spoken about today showcases the different aspects of life. The most important thing is preserving of knowledge in this world. Understanding what everything means, not in a philosophical way, but in an actual, normal understanding case, is power. I learn how to do A, B, C. I learn how to navigate life. I learn how to move from A to Z. And obviously, you have to thank God for all of the blessings and all of the tribulations because all of your tribulations and trials are there as a blessing. They're there to shape you as a person, they're there to teach you. And the fact that we can move around these issues, move around the trials that we have, is a blessing in its of itself, right? So, in the blessed month of Ramadan, I encourage viewers to dive deeper into the religion, get closer to their creator, so that their creator makes life easier for them. Because at the end of the day, we're all departing, and at least when we depart, we know that we lived it right with no regrets, and we meet our creator knowing full well that we have lived it the right way and we could not have lived it any better. So, alas, Do not cry about your circumstances, cry about who you could have been or who you could be. And based on that, use your potential to properly navigate life and knock down this thing called the comfort zone. Start taking risks, and most importantly, get closer to the man who rewards, or sorry, to the deity who rewards these risks. And that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Before I end the episode, one last thing I have to say is stop your renting your growth, start owning your market. Abdurrahman, thanks for the masterclass. On Saturday, we're diving live. We're diving into live business audits. Until then, check your leaks. Ramadan Kareem.